should have never did what I did right after that.
What'd you do then?
Well, I lowered the window down, and I emptied the whole clip towards all the kids that were waiting for.
Oh, my goodness.
So I rolled the window down. I just start shooting. These kids are ducking and running everywhere. I don't know who got hit. If anybody got hit, didn't even care.
Yeah.
Right? Boom, 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 boom. Shots all over the place. We go. I skip a red light at the corner. Screeched, got out of there. And that was it. He's in the back, this kid. He's almost crying because that's how nervous he is. Joe Bates is laughing. So, anyways, we get back to the neighborhood. I drive him home, get him out of the car. The mother's waiting for him. You know, it was a whole big dramatic thing.
Yeah.
But while he was in the car, I'm looking at him through the rearview mirror. I'm going, would you shut up? I said, if you don't stop, I said, I'm going to crack in the face.
Sure.
Stop it. So, anyways, drop him off. The mother takes him home. That was it. Now I would say, you know, I'm looking back, I would say, man, I wish I had a cousin like that, right?
Somebody come rescue? Hell yeah.
Which I did.
Yeah.
I did have cousins like that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later.
One of those, yeah.
So anyway, what happens? A couple of days later, there's a family from the neighborhood that I'm related to that I have nothing but love for. You talk about, when we talked about cousins and family that you could love unconditional,
yep. No matter what.
I know they can't talk to me.
Yeah. No matter what.
I'm going to try to talk to them, but I don't care. I still love them, you know. Last name was Rego. All right, so the Rego. My grandfather, Frankie, my father's father, and his father were first cousins.
Oh, okay.
Because somehow I think my grandfather's mother was married to a Rego.
Okay.
Somehow it goes...
There's a tight bloodline here.
Tight bloodline. They're real cousins. No, like, hey, cuz or stuff.
Like
real cousins.
Cousin neighborhood, yeah.
Those were a solid family they were, right? You had the father, Tony, and his wife's name was Gladys. Gladys used to work, I never forget growing up, because I grew up with the youngest Rego, Robert Rego, was my cousin, right? Okay. So there's 3 kids. There's Gregory Rego, was the oldest, the brother.
Yeah.
Then there's his sister, Donna Rego, and then Robert Rego, okay? So the mother, I remember as a kid, she used to work in a diner. I think it was called Buffers, or we called it Buffers, whatever it was, right? She worked in a diner that was on Lafayette Street. No, hang on a second. Take that back. It was on Prince Street between Lafayette and Mulberry. So I lived on Lafayette. Street off of Prince. Okay?
Right, I remember that.
So I used to have to walk by Buffers every day back and forth from school. So there's a lot of times on the way home from school, you know, her son, Robert, my cousin, he would take us in there. We'd go there and eat. And she'd always give us like grilled cheese, French fry, always take care of us, you know? But what a beautiful, I mean, you talk about good souls.
Good family.
The best.
Back then, we had a lot of people who actually went the extra mile to be your family, and it felt good to have them around. Really did.
Sonny, these were the type of people that would open their door to you. They'd open their door, they feed you, sit down, you know, make you always feel at home, all the time.
There was a lot of families back then like that. Nowadays, that doesn't exist.
They left their doors open. They lived on Mulberry between Spring and Prince. They lived in the same building as my biological grandfather, Nunzi.
Okay.
Nunzi, where he grew up, and his mother was still there, who would be my great-grandmother, Philomena. Okay?
Some great old world
This gets to
names
be
here.
like a whole,
But most Italian families, the cousins, there's so much intertwining with all of that family stuff. It's amazing, really. Continue.
So to get into the Regos,
yeah,
that's the type of family you're dealing with. Hardworking people, the father, legit guy, you know, a construction guy or whatever, labor, really earned every penny he had. Just a good, solid family from the neighborhood, you know, not a treacherous bone in their body. So now, little Rego, right, who we used to call Little Man.
Back to the nicknames.
Because this kid was built, okay, let's say we're like, I don't know, 14, 15 years old. He already had the body of a man already. Wow. He was just built like a little brick house, you know? So everybody nicknamed Little Man because he was the strength that this kid had for his age.
Yeah.
And I mean, tough. I mean, could fight. I mean, just he had this natural ability, like this strength of a man, like a little man,
At 14.
At 14, 15, 16, his whole life. His whole life growing up. I don't know about today, right?
Yeah.
It probably caught up with him at some point, right? But when we were kids, he was built like, a little man.
Yeah.
So he's called Little Man, right? The brother, Gregory Rego, another solid kid growing up in the neighborhood, tough with his hands, and really pretty much always minded his business, always straight-laced, very good reputation. Didn't fool around with drugs, just a solid kid from the neighborhood,
Right.
He winds up becoming a main guy with the Cavalcante family. Now, the Cavalcante family is a family from Jersey. They try to make people think they're the Sopranos. It's no.
Well, they assumed that the Sopranos were written after them, didn't they? For a while.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah.
I think with the Sopranos, all the things that they put from the Sopranos was incidents from a lot of families.
It was.
Yeah.
At least what you see is a lot of different families if you know what was going on at that time. But they did use a lot of interesting stuff there.
How he gets made with the Cavalcante family, you would think a kid from Mulberry Street, there's all the 5 families there. Why a Jersey family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question.
Right?
Yeah.
He had this friend, his group of friends were older than me. Like, let's say, I want to say they were like the next generation up.
Okay.
So, you had the older kids, then you were the younger kids, then there's kids younger than you,
Right. Like my generation, then your generation.
Right. He grew up with this kid. Well, I call him a kid because there were kids back then.
Yep.
Louis Consalvo.
Okay.
They call him Louis Eggs. Here we go with another
nickname. There has to be nicknames. I think
Has to
there's
be
an
an Eggs.
Unwritten law.
There's got to be somebody named Eggs somewhere, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
I don't know how I got that name, Louis Eggs. All these kids grew up together. Louis Eggs, him, Paulie Red, Nicky, this one, that one, all the guys that I know from my neighborhood in that age group, right? Well, Louis Eggs, I guess, Philly Obramo married into Louis Eggs' family.
Interesting.
I think he married his sister or vice versa. Philly Obramo was made with the Cavalcante family.
Okay.
That's how Louis Eggs gets in.
Yeah.
Gregory Rego grew up with Louis Eggs. That's how he gets in.
He gets in.
So on and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, a lot of times, I don't think Greg or any of them said, well, I want to be a wise guy. We all know that I want to be with the Jersey family.
Yeah.
It just happens organically because you have a friendship to begin with. So you grew up with me, let's say.
Yeah.
I'm with the Lucchese's. So organically,
you wind up with the Lucchese.
You're friends with me, you're going to wind up with the Lucchese's, right? Or vice versa. With Bonanno, same way.
Yeah.
That happens, right? Now, that's just a little bit of the history, how Greg becomes like a main guy with the Cavalcante family, because you would say, why from Mulberry Street, he winds up with all the way in Jersey.
Yeah.
Never hung out in Jersey. Doesn't know anybody from Jersey.
Don't have any business in New Jersey, but
Jersey.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
Gregory comes to me. At that time, I don't think I was straightened out. I think I was due to be made real close. I forget what year it was, but I don't think I was a made guy then.
What year were you made?
I was made in 91.